because you get the return. Our gun suppression team is out there doing proactive interviews. We're now working with the district attorney on she's going to announce her own gun program for it. So the good news about all of these gun arrests, they were made before a crime occurred, meaning a shooting or anything like that. We've made other arrests, but many of the guns that we've seen and we've showed you and at our press conferences have been done. So it's the preventive work that's being done. And again, you see the numbers are changing on the stops and so forth. And it's just good police work, and they're wearing body cameras. So it's the body cameras have not hurt their approach to policing. And thank God we've been lucky. There was a sentence today for a man, Costas was his name. He was stopped on a routine as the car stopped, right? And the individual got out and ran, chased by our police. We almost had a blue-on-blue shooting in Hempstead. The individual fired and emptied his entire gun at the officer. After dropping the first gun, he pulled the second gun out, fired, and one of the officers testified that the bullet whizzed by his head, vertical by his head. That's how close it was to coming. We arrested him, no incident. Nobody fired around. And by the way, nobody's asked it. We haven't fired our guns in over 2 years in Nassau County, a year and a half. So we have very well-disciplined police officers that are out there doing good work. It is getting dangerous more than it ever has, because those guns are in the hands of people that don't have them because they're for their public own safety. And we're concerned about it, but we're doing everything we can to keep them off the street.
Yeah, I agree. Guns need to get off the street for sure. And then my final question is, where do you think the department needs to improve at this point? You've given us all kinds of great information and terrific successes. Where do you think it needs to go?
I think we need to stay the course. I think the reform, look, nobody likes change. We addressed it, we embraced it. A lot of the things we were doing, we knew to do it better. We listened to our community, we made changes, and a lot of things. We're staying the course, we're getting a good return. Let's see what next year is. Let's see what the next 6 months shows. If there is something, if it starts to go off the charts a little bit, then we got to get it back. But the training that we're doing, bringing the outside agencies in to speak to our police officers, is a good thing. And the equipment that we give them, the tasers, to making sure, look, before reform, the Hempstead Police Department didn't have tasers. Now they have tasers. So again, it's a non-lethal de-escalation tool that helps us. Teaching them verbal judo, interaction, getting more training. Kudos to the SOA and the DAI have given us more training days to bring their members in and train them. We all agree to get a better product, you have to invest into that product, and training is one of them. And that new academy has been a godsend.
Yeah, beautiful,
thank you to all of you.
beautiful facility, and it's just, yeah, only for the good. But thank you, Commissioner, appreciate it.
We have public comment, but I'm just going to read, for the benefit of the people who sent in emails, I'm just going to read their emails, okay? Then I'm going to hand them to you, and if you could respond, like next week in writing, okay? How's that, all right?
No problem.
Because I don't want to, because some of them are long questions, so it's very involved, okay? But I do want to recognize the people who took the time to send something in. The first is from Daniel McElroy. So he asked for the commission to be willing to establish a use of force continuum and train all officers to use it in the field as defined and explained in the People's Plan. In the case of deadly force, this includes requiring officers to exhaust all alternatives, including non-lethal and less lethal strategies, before resorting to use of firearm or other deadly force, as well as require warnings prior to the use of firearm. Might add, but you just said they haven't discharged their firearms in the past year and a half. As per the definition of force in Nassau County Police Department use of force reporting and findings, there's only a distinction between force and deadly force. Such a definition of a use of force continuum would begin with expressly stipulating that the deprivation of an individual's liberty to continue on their way during a police inquiry constitutes the use of force as the police represent the awesome power of the state. Second question, can the Commissioner ensure that the guiding values of the Nassau County Police Department shall be those principles set forth, as well as the paramount objective of reverence for the sanctity of human life as described in Police Reform EO 203, signed by then County Executive Laura Curran and of course Patrick Reiner, and be explicitly written into police regulation. Third, while there are definitions in Nassau County Police Department use of force reporting and findings describing force, can the Commission ensure the creation of a clear policy on minimal reliance on force, alternatives to forces, factors to consider in use of force during and pointing firearms, duty to render medical assistance, and duty to intervene, can such a policy be explicitly written into police regulation? You'll be getting this, okay? The second one is from Erin Burley. I'm reaching out ahead of Nassau County Police Commissioner's Riders hearing happening tomorrow. She's unable to attend in person because it's inaccessible, and also the case of COVID. So, related to the People's Plan, suggestions to the county's police reform, there has, in her opinion, there has been zero implementation of language access within the NCPD. This is necessary because to promote public safety information must be accessible. How has our county created a home for non-English speakers? It's clear there is no county, incentive toward this issue, as it has been close to a year since the people have made it clear within the People's Plan we need language inclusivity. A second example of NCPD in the county overall's inability to assist residents of Nassau is a failure to produce documentation for the FOIA request Wednesday made. This is a vital FOIA as it is related to the NCPD's failure to protect people, particularly individuals who have experienced domestic violence, intimate partner violence. A horrific example of this is the life of Joanne Bird and the failure of NCPD to assist. This is, her feeling is it's not the first time that you failed. But you'll get this and you can respond to the certain questions in writing. The other is from Mariana Hoyt Lang, and it's the Nassau County Police Department says it's concerned about public trust and transparency, and yet it's engaged in two FOIA lawsuits with both NESA and the NCLU over police disciplinary records, use of force documentation, revealed stuff data. And her question is, why is the Nassau County Police Department so afraid of transparency? You'll also get that as well. And the other came from Maria Sorello, and since more members from mobile crisis teams have been hired, how many fewer mental health calls have police responded to? Has there been any progress setting up community stabilization centers? With the state awash in money, is there a strong commitment to developing them? What additional de-escalation training has been provided for police and correction officers? Have you utilized impacted people in planning your response? Are there plans to utilize paid peers in response in these calls? So these are all something that you can, I ask that maybe you respond, send them to us, and then we will send them out to the residents or the residents who requested them. So now we will go for public comment. I just want to remind everybody that we have gone back to our old ways, so it's 3 minutes of public comment. So I will ask Susan Cotterer to please come up.
Yeah, hi, thank you. I'm just a little thrown off, also very grateful that you're allowing us to ask questions after the police commissioner. So I don't know if this is gonna be a give and take or, because we're used to doing comments beforehand, so.
No, you would ask, if the police
We can just ask questions and
then you would ask us the questions, and then we would pose them to the, so that they come through us.
okay, so I'll sort of give you things in a bucket and then, okay. So my name is Susan Cotterer. I'm the director of the Nassau County New York Civil Liberties Union. I'm with Long Island United and LIAFA. I think everybody's familiar with me. Hello, Commissioner Reiner. So happy for you to be here. I just want to put it on everybody's radar that, the biggest issue that was that we were concerned about was accountability and transparency. And after the police reform plan was published and sealed, the Attorney General came out and said that there were not enough accountability measures in here. There is no independent oversight of the investigation process. I think we're all aware of those things. The Joanna Bird story, I'm sure that's going to be raised. But I want to put it on everybody's radar also that the New York Civil Liberties Union FOIL is still outstanding, and the Nassau County Police Department is digging in their heels on disciplinary records, but not only disciplinary records, they're digging in their heels on use of force information that was very carefully described in the FOIL, and also field stop information. So I just want to put that on everybody's radar. The other piece is, when it comes to data, it's really easy to say things about data so my question is, does the police commissioner have a response on the FOILs? The other question that I have is about the STAT Act. We had asked for lower level offenses. We're concerned with disorderly conduct, we're concerned with obstructing justice, we're concerned with the 3 low level charges. That's what we asked for last year. The People's Plan asked for everything that was in the STAT Act, which is a state level bill. And so what we're asking for is those statistics are put through the Office of Court Administration and reported out by the Office of Court Administration. And the police commissioner says in the police reform plan, we will comply with the STAT Act. Well, of course you will, you have to legally, right? So the question is, will you put the OCA Nassau County data on the Nassau County website so people don't have to go to the OCA website to look for it? People don't know to go to the OCA website to look for it. So that's one of the questions. Can we have that? At least can the Nassau County Police Commissioner or the Public Safety Committee commit to that, okay?
So what you're asking though is that whatever is sent up to New York State, rather than somebody going through a New York State website, that if it's possible,
we were asking for all the data that the STAT Act asked for, and we didn't get that promise, but it's out there, but people don't know that. People don't know to look for it or what it is, so we would really like to ask that the Public Safety Committee or the Police Commissioner do that. Just 1 or 2 more questions. Do the schools that have SROs, do you have MOUs with those SROs, which you're lawfully required to have? So that's one of the questions. And then the data that you're talking about, non-Nassau residents versus Nassau residents, can you start breaking that out for the reporting of the data? Is that possible in the future?
I think
Yes.
what we'll do is we can find out about the offices that are in, we don't have a lot of offices that are in the schools themselves.
There's
the
5,
safety
yeah.
resource
There are 5.
offices. So we will find out if there are MOUs, if you have an agreement with the school districts to have them in there. And then also, in regard to the non-resident, I know that the police commissioner indicated that because, I mean, I guess they're just looking for a breakdown. Maybe based on whatever licenses the person has, you would be able to keep a record of like what neighborhoods they came from. I mean, say how many people come from Queens, how many people from Brooklyn, maybe who's from Albany, who's from Kingston, whatever, you know. So I guess that would be something that you're
Yeah, in
asking
other
for.
words, the waters are muddied by that
Yeah.
statement of we don't know where they
Yeah.
came from, and so we would like the waters to get unmuddied with all the data.
You know, I think sometimes with data, like when they look at it, because we got the breakdown of like in communities here in Nassau County. So we knew who in Nassau County, where they came from, if they were women, men, you know, black, white, Asian, whatever. We have that, and I think it might be very cumbersome when they, I guess maybe sometimes when they look at that, to see then how do they incorporate that into New York State and their demographics. So that maybe a starting point may be where we can identify where the non-residents are basically coming from.
Or at least be able to pull them out of the data and just search the Nassau.
Yeah, I think, and that's what you did, didn't you? Or you didn't?
No, undated, because we're required to record all of it. We're identifying that 35% do not reside. If I take the 35% out, and I just give you the data related there, that's fine.
All right, I see. Is that right? Susan, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. If you can, we would
So
appreciate
I
it.
don't need to include non-resident data anymore in my reporting.
I mean, I would like that.
No, we want both, we just want to see them separated out. You know, yeah,
Harry, you too.
yeah.
Carrie, I'll do it both. No problem.
Thank you so much. Go right ahead.
Just a quick follow-up to that to make sure we understand the question correctly. Are you asking where they're coming from, or like if they're women drivers or men, or what information are you seeking?
Well, first of all, I think that that question that you asked before in a comical way is a serious question, and I think that that's okay. We'd like to know that. I'm asking for the waters to become unmuddied. We want to see all the numbers, but we want to see the right categories, right? We want to see what's happening for Nassau County residents, and we want to see what's happening for everybody that has interactions with our police department.
So the information you're requesting from out-of-county residents is what?
I'd like them to be separated out so we
They
can
are.
see what, right.
So what would you want?
In other words, it's quite a statement to be able to say, we can't really tell what these numbers mean because some of them are from out of the county.
So you're looking for like gender, race? as
All
well?
demographics.
Okay, so you want that as well as where they're coming from? 'Cause
Yeah,
before
yeah,
it's not
yeah, if we
like-
can break them out from everywhere that they're coming from, yes, of course.
Okay, so their address and their personal
So
information.
Well,
I clearly understand what she's asking. It wasn't a requirement before. We will make that happen, that's no problem. But for the record, anybody that stops a car doesn't know where they live when they're stopping a car.
But you would get the information
That is correct, 100%.
after you stop
That's all
the car,
required.
and